Well, the recent expansion of the Karnataka cabinet has sparked immediate rebellion and dissent within the Congress party. Left out senior legislators, unrepresented communities and threats of resignations has turned the exercise into a political headache for the party leadership. The expansion came after 2 months of hectic lobbying, multiple trips to Delhi and endless factionalism. But less than 24 hours after 19 new ministers were inducted into the state cabinet, a massive internal rebellion has broken out. Several disgruntled leaders have expressed their discontent in the open, triggering a crisis for the Congress party. Sources say the list of new ministers was chosen based on representation of caste and region and to accommodate loyalists of at least 3 main factions within the Congress in Karnataka, including those of Chief Minister D.K. Shivakumar. Also, former Chief Minister Siddaramaiah and AICC President Mallikarjun Kharge. As the newly inducted ministers took oath, senior Congress lawmakers Yashwantraya Gowda Patil and Bellur Gopalakrishna announced they will quit after being denied cabinet berths. 7-time MLA T.B. Jayachandran held a meeting of disgruntled MLAs at his residence, and later in a statement, he said that he was ashamed to be a congressman. The veteran leader also dropped a veiled threat, saying the disappointed MLAs will soon decide their next move. As discontent exploded, Chief Minister D.K. Shivakumar went into damage control mode. He appealed for patience, saying he too had once missed out on becoming a minister, but got the opportunity later. Now, interestingly, former Chief Minister Siddaramaiah skipped the swearing-in ceremony, raising speculation over his absence. But Shivakumar dismissed rumors of a rift, saying the former Chief Minister was busy with his birthday preparations. The long-awaited cabinet expansion came after multiple rounds of consultations between the state leadership and the Congress High Command. Chief Minister Shivakumar made several trips to New Delhi in recent weeks, with both the state leadership and the High Command keen to balance caste, community and regional considerations. But the much-awaited expansion also threw in a lot of surprises. The cabinet expansion retains 7 ministers. The Vokaliga community has also retained 5 ministerial berths. But for the first time in 30 years, there is no representation of the Brahmin community in the state cabinet. The 33-member Council of Ministers also does not feature a single woman. The lone woman pick, Gayatri Santigowda, who was absent from the swearing-in ceremony, with reports saying her name was dropped in the last minute. For more on this, we are being joined by senior journalist R.K. Upadhyay live from Bangalore. Welcome to the broadcast, Mr. Upadhyay. We know there have been last-minute changes, 2 months of lobbying and negotiating, yet just after a few hours, there has been a rise in rebellion again. Has cabinet expansion become a headache for the Congress?
I think so, because, they expected it to go smoothly because they had multiple rounds of meetings with all the important leaders, especially D.K. Shivakumar, Siddaramaiah, and then B.K. Hariprasad, who's newly been appointed as the KPCC president. They made multiple visits to Delhi. They held discussions with the Congress president and other office bearers of AICC. And finally, it was decided that the cabinet will be expanded because it was almost a month since the last cabinet was formed. I mean, there are only 14 people who were taken to the cabinet, and 20 more seats had to be filled up. And that proved to be very, very difficult task for them because I think there was competing interests who wanted to get into the cabinet. And finally, when everything was set, on the day of the swearing in, there were hiccups because Mr. Siddaramaiah, who is a former chief minister, objected to Gayatri Santigowda being inducted into the cabinet without his consent. Gayatri happens to be from a Kuruba community, to which Siddaramaiah also belongs, and he had not recommended her, is what he claimed. And he wanted his own candidate, that Umashri, to be in the cabinet, and she was not taken into the cabinet, but she has been tipped to be made deputy chairperson of the Legislative Council, which is not to their liking. So that being the case, there was a problem, and ultimately, she could not, Gayatri could not take both. So finally, there are only 33 ministers and no woman for the first time in many, many years.
As you just speak about the only woman who cleared for the cabinet, but she didn't take the oath. For all the talks of inclusive politics, it speaks volumes about the party's priorities. So in your perspective, whose decision was it and why?
Well, it's a mystery as to how Gayatri made it to the cabinet in the first place, because nobody as yet is confirming, and the rumor goes that it was K.C. Venugopal who cleared her name without having a word with Siddaramaiah, and he thought a woman in the cabinet and also a Kuruba community representative, it's a combined one, will be okay. But then, Siddaramaiah is very, very adamant that he should have a say in all this. I think it's going to be very difficult for Shivkumar to run the show easily, because the shadow of Siddaramaiah is going to hover over him, for the rest of his term, which is just about 2 years left for the elections to be held in May 2028. So I think Shivkumar will have to find a very fine balance, in continuing to please Siddaramaiah, because he is capable of mobilizing all the disgruntled elements. So now we have seen at least 2 MLAs have resigned, and several more have threatened to resign. But there's no immediate threat to the government, because it has a massive majority of 136 MLAs for its side, and hopefully there will not be much of a destabilization immediate possibilities there. But then, as long as Siddaramaiah remains unhappy, I think there's going to be trouble for this government.
You're right, Mr. Upadhyay. The Congress definitely talks about clean politics, but why roll out the red carpet for the leaders who have faced multiple serious allegations, right? The cabinet has been perceived as being built on caste arithmetic. What is your assessment there? Has caste beat merit here?
I think that has been more the case. B. Nagendra, who was accused of, swindling money from the Scheduled Tribe Welfare Board, that is up about 89 crores rupees went missing, and he's back in the cabinet. But a good performer like Dinesh Gundurao has been dropped from the cabinet. I mean, there's no logic behind it. And you also happen to be the first only Brahmin to be in the cabinet. And as you were saying, first time in 3 decades, there will be no Brahmin in the cabinet. So this kind of inconsistencies are there. And after all these exercises, in spite of having 136 MLAs, about 10 districts go unrepresented. So there is a skewed selection as far as this cabinet is concerned. And that's the reason why there is a lot of anger, especially among the seniors. Many seniors have been left out. H.K. Patil has been left out, Mahadevappa has been left out, and several other, B.R. Patil has been left out, and all of them are sulking. And it's not a good thing for the government to start on a weak wicket. But then we'll have to see how Shivkumar manages, because he's known to be a good manager, and he's a very experienced politician. He has been an MLA for 8 consecutive terms, and this was his dream, to become the Chief Minister of Karnataka, but it's not going smooth as of now for him.
You're right, Mr. Upadhyay. We'll have to see if Shivakumar's experience is finally going to come into play and help Karnataka grow eventually, and if this current government and the cabinet is going to be any different than the ones before. But thank you so much for your perspective and your time.
Thank you.